So basically, it's the difference between almost analog versus digital. The fact is, I guess the collection of that, of soil samples and environmental samples, for them would have been quite a traditional process, sending people into the field, gathering samples, taking it back into a lab and analyzing it. Is that correct?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it's true that if you want to analyze the environment today, I mean, at least analyze what we analyze. The only other solution is to have people coming on site, looking at what there is in the environment and taking samples. The problem is those people cannot cover a surface like 700 hectares, cannot come on site every day. And so they miss a lot of information in terms of frequency, in terms of period of time, in terms of surface. Whereas the bees, because they can go everywhere, they can go in gardens, they can go everywhere. There's no limit, and they can collect information from the whole surface and every day. And so that's really the difference with traditional methods, which, in addition to that, of course, cost much more than working and collaborating with bees.
I mean, it's incredible. I just find this story so amazing. It's to me, it's a little bit of genius, and I'm curious. So you'd identified this client. You put forward this idea to the client. They said yes, presumably, obviously. So how did you know it worked? Like, what was the first big win when you went from a conceptual model to saying, actually, we've created something that is superior to what's in the marketplace? When was that moment? How did it happen?
Well, we started with that client, and then of course we co-created a bit with the client. Then the first thing is that he started talking about that to the water sector. And so the first moment we understood it was going to work is that first they implemented this solution on all their sites. So they had various sites with water catchment areas. So that's the first part. The second part is that he talked about this solution to other kind of competitors that called us saying, hey, we're looking for that kind of solution, so why don't you work with us as well? And so today we monitor almost all the big water catchment areas in Europe. And then the second one is when we started working with other kind of clients. We had a city coming to us and saying, hey, we want to monitor the whole city. There's a port. We want to understand what are the pollution coming from the port. There's biodiversity issues. We have agriculture. What can we do about it? And so we started with this city with a global project involving the whole community with thousands of people planting on a yearly basis and so on. So that we validated a kind of business model for cities or municipalities or regions. And then we worked with the food business, and then with infrastructure business, and with real estate and so on. And the more client segments we were able to open, the more we realized that it was a need that is quite global to a lot of industries. And so that's probably the biggest win is to come up with a business model from something that at the beginning was kind of a dream that seemed to be a bit impossible, to be honest. I always remember when people told me, you worked as an M&A lawyer, you worked as a property developer, and now you're working with bees. Are you completely crazy? It's never going to work. And the more people told me it's never going to work, including, my family and people, well, I said, yeah, if we work a lot, if we work well, it's going to work. And so that's basically what happened.
So I'm curious about the difference that your clients have seen between what they were doing traditionally and what they get now. I mean, what's the, trying to help us understand, like, what's the quantifiable difference between the old way versus the new way with the bees?
Well, there's a lot of differences. The old way, if you have people coming on site, again, they can only look at what's on a very limited surface. That's one of the main difference. They'll come maybe 2, 3, 4 times per year. So they only have data at that specific moment. And it's the same for sensors. If you take sensors for pollution, they're placed at the limited at a specific site, so they'll get data for that specific site. And then having people coming on site doesn't give you all the information. So they'll tell you a bit what kind of plants you have on site, for example. But in our case, we can really tell you how many plant species you have, what are the quality of these plant species in terms of nutritional nutritional quality for birds, for pollinators, etc. We see more invasive species. We did a nice project in the US for a natural reserve, where the people coming on site only found 3 invasive species, whereas we found 8. And those species have really a huge impact, on the environment. And so it's the same for pollution, where again, we know exactly what pollutants. If you take pesticides, for example, people don't know what kind of pesticides are used today. And people always talk about the same pesticides, but there's some new pesticides coming on the market. People don't know how much they used, how they stay in the environment, what is their impact, and so on. And so that's the kind of data that we obtain and that today nobody else has.
I mean, it's such an amazing story. I just love this story. Particularly because it's combined with the fact that beehives are collapsing and scientists seem to be at a loss for why it's happening. And the fact is that you're actually using the bees as part of the scientific process to understand what's happening in the environment, not just for themselves, but obviously for the rest of us. It's such a brilliant story. But you alluded to something a moment ago when you talked about the fact that people said you were crazy. It is quite a distance to go from, it's being in the field that you were to the field that you now are. I mean, what was that experience like personally, trying to transition from what you've been doing to this new entrepreneurial direction? What was it like at a personal level? What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
It was a real challenge. It's the first challenge, I think, is to get rid of your past, of what people told you. You have to be successful, you have to earn a lot of money, you have to be in that kind of business, and so on. And so you have your friends that are having nice jobs and so on. And so deciding to do whatever you want, even though it might have an impact on your financial well-being, potentially even on a kind of social aspect of your life. I think that was really the main challenge. Having your parents at first saying, "Why are you doing this? We don't understand," and so that's probably the biggest challenge. Take the decision to change and not be, in kind of a prison made of okay, it's great to get money and to work for property developers that pay you well and so on. But for me, it was kind of like a prison. And the most difficult part was to just escape from that prison and believe in who I was, believe in what I wanted, and just take the decision to leave all that and to take the risk to fail. But in any case, it was a success already to escape from that situation.
So when did you know that you made the right decision? Or maybe I should ask that question differently. Do you know if you've made the right decision?
No, I know I made the right decision. That's for sure. As far as you wake up in the morning and you're happy to go to work and you're passionate about what you do and you're proud of what you do, that's when I think you're at the right place. And so today, I'm proud of what we managed to do. I have kids, and I hope they'll be proud of what we do. So, that's for me. It's really important. Now, there's some days where I was like, whoa, what? Why did I do this? Why did I take this direction? And it's still a challenge. So it's not like if the biodiversity market was. I think it's a market that's with a lot of potential opportunities and so on, but it's not the market driven by investors and so on. So you have to be innovative, disruptive, and find your way, and that's a challenge. So from time to time, you have your frustrations and your doubts as well.
And so how do you stay true to your path? Like what is it that keeps you on those mornings where you wake up and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is it that keeps you going?
That's it's a good question. There's a lot of frustration because sometimes you work for impact, and then you see that things don't go as quick as you want, that decisions are not taken at a corporate level or at a society level. So that can be very frustrating. But on the other hand, you meet some people or you see some projects that are reaching kind of an impact, and people who want to do something about it, and inspiring people, and that is so refreshing and so exciting. And then it's just a matter of today. There's no question that people have to act, and people have to invest, and people have to believe that there is a transition and that it has to occur quickly. And as mentioned, I have kids, I have a family. I believe in people who change the society, and I especially believe that startups innovation can really trigger this change. And so that's why every morning, I even though sometimes I'm frustrated, sometimes I'm I'm tired of all that, but then it's always that thought that makes me go to work and be happy about it.
So I'm curious, what's one project that you feel most proud of that you think is the touchstone for where the business is going to go in the future?
Um, well, we're very proud of a lot of our projects. We managed to change the way big food producers were producing, and so change their practices to be more sustainable. We changed the way that cities, or even at a regional levels, things were managed in terms of agriculture or in terms of biodiversity, in terms of a commitment of or engagement of local communities. We changed the way industries were their process, changing their process to reduce their pollution and so on. So, and raising awareness of a lot of people. So that I'm very proud of that. And then now we also, I'm very proud that we've signed, for example, a partnership with companies like Microsoft and Accenture to go one step further forward. And because we have a lot of data today, to make this data accessible also to other actors in corporates or public authorities, and to enable also citizens, individuals, farmers, beekeepers, etc., to act and to have access to all this information. And so I'm very proud that we get to partner with companies like Microsoft or Accenture to go that way, and to scale in terms of impact. And I think that's what the project is all about.
So when you look back, out of curiosity, first of all, how does your income now compare to where it was before? Just, are you even close to what you're earning, and or is that just a background consideration at this point?
Well, I saw a person in charge of recruitment one day, and he told me, "Well, you were at the top, the top of the ladder when you were an M&A lawyer. Then you went down a little bit when you worked in property development, then you worked in coaching, and now you work with bees. You're at the bottom of the society or the ladder. And I told him, well, it's true if you see that in terms of financials. It's true that it's a big distance. But if you see that in terms of happiness, in terms of values and so on, it's the other way around. So for me, what I earn through my job today is much more than what I earned before. Now, in terms of financials, I won't say that it's the same, but the gap is lower than at the beginning, of course, because we're now completely profitable, and people in the company earn, the money they're worth for. Of course, I'm not earning the kind of money that an M&A lawyer could earn, but on the other hand, I really don't need it. To be honest, it's just a way of living that I don't think you need millions or even hundreds of thousands if you change a bit the way you live. So I'm much happier, and I think that's worth a lot of money.
And so for the naysayers, say your parents, for instance, or some of your former colleagues, have they come around to what you're doing?
Yeah, it's difficult when your parents say, I don't think that's a good idea, or are quite not in a position, but are doubt a lot on your ability to make it a success and to live with that. And today they're the first ambassadors I have on the project. So and I think that says it all. It's been the case for colleagues, for even my own family. Sometimes people have their doubts on what we're doing, but then they see it works, and they see we manage to live correctly and so on. So it's it's I think it's just the fact that we believe in what we do. Then people start believing as well in what you do, and they become ambassadors of what you do. So yeah, or maybe luckily it just went the right way, and today my parents are okay with it.
So Michael, such an amazing journey that you've been on, and one that required a lot of courage to start and a lot of tenacity to maintain. So my last question is this: what is your advice to someone if they were thinking about taking a step towards entrepreneurship? Given the lessons that you've learned, what would you say are the big qualities that they need to stay focused and to take that step?
I would say you need to be passionate about your project. So you really need to be 200% convinced your project makes sense, and have this kind of 200% motivation. You need, of course, the expertise, you need all that, but you need to have the right motivation. That's probably the most important. The second very important part is to have to be well supported. It's a tough journey, to be honest. And so you need a proper associate. You need the right person to work with. You need the right team. You need a team to be supportive, to understand your business, to be proud of its business, and to be completely also engaged and committed to the company and its vision and its values. And then you need you always need support from other people. So you have to choose the proper people who can help you when you have a down, you're frustrated. And it's not always the people that are the closest to you, because you want to protect them also so you need to find the right people to be your kind of mentors, to help you take the right decisions, and then to listen to you when you have some difficult times. That's really important.
Great. Well, Michael Van Cutsem, founder of BeeOdiversity, I just want to thank you so much again. Amazing story. I'll be including a link to your website, and I will encourage everybody who sees this to check out your business, because it is a great one, and it's a great story. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on our video cast.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you to you.
Thanks so much for watching to the end. I hope you got something out of this. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to more stories from some of the world's most interesting entrepreneurs. And a big shout out to my sponsor, the Innovation Hub at Carleton University. If you'd like to know more about the programs they've created to support organizational leadership, visit www.carleton.ca/innovationhub. See you next time.